Well, hello, hello. Welcome to the fine print on this Sunday, June 20th, or I'm June 20th, July 20th. Um, so Vagabondia is feeling under the weather, so we will be uh, just me and y'all today. So let's get into it. I'm just trying to turn off notifications. So yeah, how y'all doing? So before we really started talking about the main topic of the Epstein victims, I wanted to just talk about something that I wrote a piece in my Substack, published it last night, but I know it's Monday, so not everyone's going to be up on if you follow me. Here we go. So, and my internet's a little slow today, so I apologize if it gives the blue circle of death. But so I started writing about uh, kind of, I hate to be on the Gavin Newsom thing, but I really want to understand why I was so, I guess, enamored maybe. And so I started writing about it. And it started out as an article completely unrelated to what I ended up publishing. But I think I figured it out. And, y'all know I'm from New York, Long Island, which is, just outside New York City. And I haven't lived there since, oh God, like 2005 ish. So 20 years I haven't lived there. But my family's there. A lot of my friends are still there. I go to alumni weekends there. I'm still very connected to it. So when I started seeing California, get pummeled, and the blue states have been getting pummeled by Trump really since 2016, but more so at the start of his second term this year. And one thing I hadn't realized, and I don't know if a lot of other people who are from a blue state, I hate using that too, blue state. What the hell does that mean? Because there's a lot of people who think just like me that are born and raised in like the reddest parts of Georgia. But when I saw Trump really federalizing the National Guard and sending in Marines and really looking like, we were going to watch our military open fire on residents of LA. It broke something in me. Like, wow, this is where we are now. We're all really okay with this. And I had this really visceral reaction that and I know a lot of people did, obviously. But so watching Gavin Newsom kind of emerge from that was like a breath of fresh air. And when I really started thinking about it and why is it so invigorating? Because I have friends, Tony Michaels, speaks out against it. We have lots of commentators who are like-minded. Even people who are diehard Republicans are like, my dude, this is a little too far. But when Gavin Newsom really started flipping them off and saying, oh, you're going to arrest me? Bring it. It was just like this refreshing breath of fresh air. And I think I'm pretty sure that this isn't an intended consequence. But I think Democrats who have any semblance of power, because it's all kind of relative, I guess, at this point, but someone is fighting for us. Like, I get it. Gavin Newsom is like a bazillionaire. I get he has some policies that are kind of messed up. I don't really know a whole lot about him. And in my Substack article, I kind of admit I don't really pay attention to California up until recently because I only have so much mental bandwidth, you know. So unless there was something important, I don't check on California. You know, I need somebody to tell me to check on California because it's just too much. There's too much that I have to pay attention to when it comes to information. So, you know, when I started going through his TikTok account, which I'm going to play a clip for you. I don't know who the hell, I don't know who runs his social media. I have no idea. But dear Lord, he or she needs a national holiday, a raise. I don't, it's fantastic. There's no way. Like I mean, maybe he does it himself. I don't. I would think governors delegate their stuff to like other people, and so it was just so refreshing. It was such a breath of fresh air. Like, and so that's what I wrote about in my Substack article. If you want to check it out, the link to my Substack is in the description. But I think Democrats need to realize that even if there is nothing they can do, because there really isn't a whole lot of actual policy that they can get passed. They can slow shit down, but like there's not a like we have to be realistic. We can only slow stuff down, and having someone just fight back in a bold way that's like effective, that like because with some of these people you can't fight back like it is a noble thing to think that you can fight back somebody like this with policy. And that's, and of course you do, I'm not disregarding policy obviously for the academics in the room, but like at the same time that policy doesn't get anywhere close to being a reality unless you punch the bully in the nose, like figuratively obviously. But and Gavin Newsom punches them in the freaking nose. Like, you know, when Alex Padilla, the California senator, was accosted at that press conference, you know, just as, you know, ICE is like starts invading LA and he's tackled to the ground by Secret Service and all that. Like Gavin Newsom was on it. And I'm going to let me get to some of his clips. They're very, very short, so I'm not going to spend a whole, but like, I hope I can, here it is. Let me get this. So he's Kristi Noem had a tweet that said, you know, Alex Padilla was in engaging in political theater. So Gavin Newsom, it's so petty and so immature, but it's so like, you know, it's effective. And I get Democrats don't want to engage in the petty rhetoric, but at the same time, it's like, what you're doing ain't working, guy. Okay, then there's this one. This is that. Like, what the hell? Like, and you know what? It's petty. Oh wait, did I here we go. Let me redo this. I don't think it was shown. The one I just played was "This is petty as hell, but it's so effective." Are you kidding me? And then where is this is the one where he makes fun of Kristi Noem's political theater. Um, and I don't think Democrats fully appreciate how how much is needed to keep the base like not from being ground down. Which I didn't see the firefighter what you call it, the firefighter one. Wild. So anyway, pictures do speak louder than words, most definitely. So um one other comment I had about the CEO that I don't know his name. I didn't care enough to look into it. But one thing I think that is hilarious about the whole thing is, you know, most people up until that kiss cam probably had no idea who the dude was. If he didn't freak out like that, I bet you nobody would have noticed. I bet you it would have just would have like, oh, okay, some, Gen X dude with his lady friend. Like, I don't think anybody would have, because his company, well, it's a pretty big company from what I understand. It's not like he's not Jeff Bezos known. He's not like that kind of, or, Elon Musk known. Um, so I think he ratted himself out. But that's what you. Nobody's going to be taking their side pieces to a concert anymore, or anywhere. Kiss cams are there. But so that's that. So let's talk about Jeffrey Epstein for a minute. So not really about him, but there is an article that came out in 2020 that I didn't see at the time, and it was let me get this back up there. So come on, get back here. Oops. So this article was published in Mother Jones, and you know what? Mother Jones I don't think gets enough credit for the shit that they publish. They're viewed as a far left publication, and maybe that's true, but at the same time, they get their hands on some pretty crazy stuff for some pretty crazy articles. So I can put this article in the link because it's very long. I'm not going to go through it all. But I started looking at this last night, and I meant to just kind of scan it and, just see what it was about. And the writer, Leland Nally, which I don't really follow any of his work, so I don't really know about him. But what he did was he got his hands on Epstein's little black book and called every single number in it. And it took him months to do it. And he literally got connected to royalty, the world's oligarchy, and a lot of numbers of that were in there were, sometimes a florist because he ordered flowers once. A lot of numbers were disconnected. But a lot of them still worked and still went to those people, which I was really surprised because, I mean, if you know that, like, you're connected to Epstein in any way, I would think you would change your number that second that. But one thing that the author mentioned was that he did not, if there was a known victim, he did not call them. but he ended up talking with some of the victims, not knowing they were a victim. And the names in there were that he had inadvertently called that ended up being a victim. They never came forward because they did not want to face retaliation. And it's very long. It's kind of stomach churning. And then like he doesn't include all of the he includes all of his transcripts, but like so if you want to read the whole thing of this guy, Marvin Minsky, wherever he is, you can click on it and read the whole thing. This must have taken him an insane amount of time to compile. He said that he like for a lot of the time, he was worried about his girlfriend's like spiritual energy. Like it was so dark that he like didn't really ever, he tried not to be in his apartment when working on this. It was that dark. And why I wanted to talk about it was because what about the victim? Like we're talking about the victim. Like we're talking about Trump and his relationship to Epstein, and that's part of it. But throughout that whole article, there's the people that said, at the time, I thought he was just really strange. But looking back on it in hindsight, I can see that there was, oh, dog, don't do that. Don't do that. There you go. The leg to my table that my computer's on got fed through a dog toy, and my dog was like, of course, needed that toy right now. So if I didn't like tip it so she could grab it, we were going to have a problem with everything coming crashing down. So anyway, so I'm just like, and you know, I find a lot of it hard to believe that you didn't know. With that amount of young girls at his, like, I know if I went to a friend's party and a lot of young girls are there, my first thought is something really dark. You know, like that's what I'm thinking. And there was this one at the time, this one number went to a person who was working at Fox News before it launched on cable. So this is like in the Fox News's infancy. And she had a screenplay written, and Jeffrey Epstein was going to financially back her screenplay. So she went over to his home to collect the check, and then he groped her, and she ran out, and she was like, I don't need the money that bad. You know, I'm straight, thanks. I'm good. She didn't report it. She said that she put a tip when everything went public when he was initially arrested. She put like a tip in the FBI's like tip line, or whoever was prosecuting the case into their tip line. And I'm just like, why do we protect these guys? Like, why is it that we allow this to happen? And you know, my daughter has, you know, been SA'd. She was really, really tiny. And let me tell you something. The police cared more about my husband allegedly taking $200 than a 4-year-old who might have been abused. There's something wrong with that. There's really something wrong with that. And the law goes to really extreme lengths to protect the person. And it's only by the grace of God and me being smart, I was able to drag my custody case to a stalemate. So, but in order to do that, you need money. There's a lot of people who cannot fight the courts when it comes to trying to protect your kids. And I'm all about the rule of law, and but like when you don't even have a chance at obtaining justice or even having the law protect you or your child, I mean, and then we have these assholes in MAGA who are just posting the most disgusting memes about how they don't care. They know he's a pedophile and they don't care. And it's like, okay, so you're going to ban books at a school because you're worried about the kids, but you're going to allow a sex offender and you say he's a pedophile, so and that's fine with you. So clearly it's not about the books anymore. Clearly you don't give a fuck about the actual books or worry that they're going to hurt a child. And that's why I really feel like anybody, any group who is hell-bent on banning books or calling teachers and librarians pedophiles, I wholeheartedly believe they are trying to run cover for the very thing they say they're fighting against. Because if you actually cared about that, you would go to where your fight would be effective. And it's just what it is wild how people who say they care about kids really don't care about kids. I might have a little bit of respect if they actually care about kids and they actually like did things that do protect kids. But like, God forbid they get a free lunch, it's really sad. And then like once we get victims to come forward, we demonize them, we call them liars. Like, why would anyone want to come forward? Why would anybody want that? And then also in the article, this is towards the end, the reporter mentions that in the media, Epstein is painted as a con man and how he had how he was smart in a lot of things and he was able to, and he's like, people give him way too much credit because after talking to all these people, and most of them are the world elite, he's like, it's just grifters grifting off of grifting. And that's really, it's just the cycle of grifting. And like we give Jeffrey Epstein way too much credit at his brilliance. All he did was perpetuate the cycle of grifting. And that's why people were willing, like he contributed a lot of money to like scientific labs and research and stuff. So a lot of well-known scientists, to get that funding, because God forbid, we actually fund anything. They cozy up to people with money, and a lot of times those people with money are terrible people. And it's unfortunate that we have to keep this cycle of growth over and over and over. And there was one interview that I read it in its entirety, and the phone number called went to the mother of a girl who was modeling at the time. So the girl is probably now maybe a little younger than I am, if not the same age. And the mother made it seem like she figured that's what was going on. And, you know, she didn't see if girls are getting paid, that fine, like whatever. And I'm just like, so you are okay with, like, wow. Like, wow. And her daughter would have been of age at the time. But I'm just like, you're a twisted lady. Like, that's dark. That, like, to think, well, if you're getting paid, then, it's fine. You're getting paid a lot of money, because she said her daughter got paid like a lot of money. And I'm just like, that doesn't make it better. Like, yeah, because a lot of times, so what if they're getting paid a lot of money? So what? I mean, you're taking advantage of young, even if they're of, like, it's trafficking. And Giselle, I don't know how you say your name, Maxwell, I mean, she's some pretty big evil too. I will not believe that she is a victim in anything, particularly because she was a billionaire in her own right, and he did use her, apparently. But I'm sorry, if I had billions, like, I would have left my monster of an ex-husband like long before I did. Like, and I didn't turn into a trafficker, or, like, how you go from being manipulated to a child sex trafficker breaks my fucking brain. Like, something in my brain died last night reading all this. But I think that we need to start talking about the people that are the victims. And when they start, MAGA's already trying to say Obama needs to get put in jail. I'm not really sure why. I'm sure it's some stupid logic. Bring it back to Epstein. Okay, great. That's cool. Cool story, dude. Where's the Epstein files? I don't know how we are so far gone that this is okay. That this is all right. I just don't understand. And the depravity, the sheer depravity of it, like, just turns my stomach. Because even there are people even more depraved than Epstein, which is even, like, the sick shit human beings do to one another is mind bending, and it really makes me sad. So let me look at some of what y'all are saying. Oh, I saw that. I happened to. Yeah. Okay. Hold on. Yeah. No. Okay. Cool story, dude. What about the Epstein files? Because I think, for the victims' sake, that's my. Because, I mean, these victims will never be made whole. Never. Like, that's just the reality. They'll come close to it. I'm not saying that their lives are defined and destroyed, but they'll never be completely whole again. And yeah, no, he's trying to say that indigenous people appreciate, like, the term, like, redskins, and there's a university back home really close to, my mother went there, St. John's University. They were the Redmen. And I think there's something else now. I forgot what they. I don't understand why this is a big deal. Like, particularly with MAGA. Like, But yeah, he's just using it as a dog whistle to signal the MAGA, like, hey, let's talk about woke shit. It's like, nope, where's the Epstein files? Um, Lev Parnas and Rick Wilson, um, make me feel better about the whole situation, particularly when it comes to some of this insider stuff that they know about, and it's actually breaking. I mean, it's not going to be the death blow, but at least it's a crack in the armor. And uh, hold on, Skip. Let me. Oh, here it is. Okay, hold on. Ah, my computer is doing the circle of death. I don't know why on Sundays it does this. Like my internet slows down. I wonder if there's like something I just don't, something's running that I don't know about. Okay. If I could get this to just load. Here we go. This was the tweet that Washington whatevers. You know what? Let's use that, the Washington whatevers. I mean, but oh, speaking of Cleveland, it's back. Do. So speaking of Cleveland, or no, I'm not. I'm not sure if it was Cleveland, but it was definitely Ohio. Those cops got suspended. I was really surprised they got suspended for beating those protesters to death. Um, yeah, Trump is, Sheila, you're right. Trump is the deep state, totally. Um, Logic confliction number one, okay? Logic, riddle me this. How is it that the deep state is always against Trump, even when it's Trump deep state? I mean, he's president. Can't he weed out the deep state if they're still there? Like, yeah. uh, oh, that makes a lot of sense. Why it would slow down? Okay, well, and because we don't have net neutrality anymore, yeah, I have to pay like something like $20 a month more for like the next speed up, which I don't have it now. Maybe I'll do a separate video on net neutrality because it's really so stupid on internet providers that charge for faster speeds. And Burger King did this really great video to demonstrate the stupidity of it. And it would be like them charging more for customers to be able to get their burgers faster, or they get to jump the line. So like, you pay, let's say you have $1, $2, and $3 burgers, and you buy the burger that's $1. The people that buy the $3 burgers get their burgers faster, and like it's a really funny video, but it is very, very effective in describing the absurdity of internet providers and really the absurdity of like of capitalism. Like, I can't. Nick Fuentes. Yeah, you know what? I don't like this timeline because Nick Fuentes, I can't even deal with Nick Fuentes. Like, I've agreed with him way too much this year. Like, I feel dirty and weird saying that, but like, you know something's bad when you can find like a few things that you can agree with a neo-Nazi. Like, that hurts my brain, to be honest. Like, that really hurts my. It's like, oh boy, I want off this timeline. Homework for the audience: go figure out how we do like quantum, whatever, so we can skip out on this timeline. I can't. Oh wow, that is a lot. $50 a month for 5G. I'm not gonna lie, I'm on a cell phone plan with my family and my parents. I mean, I pay them like it, but it's just it is so much cheaper to do a family plan than to like for me to just have two lines on my own. So, and I'm not really sure why that is, but like, so, but my dad is like the main dude on the account. So, like, I can only do so much. I'm like the side dude on the account, so I can handle my half of like the bill. But so I turned off my 5G because on Substack, and I don't remember his name. I'd have to go through my subscriptions, but there is a guy who talks about internet privacy and all of that. So I hadn't realized how, I would say even last year, I was willing to trade privacy for convenience. I've always been like that. If you make my life convenient, okay, fine, take my data. Fine. But then Elon Musk came around, and I don't like that idea anymore. So I started turning off the stuff that makes my life convenient, and 5G is one of them. My phone is obnoxiously annoying now. Yeah, I know they can still track me. I'm not like, but I've really considered actually getting a flip phone for the first time in years because I really don't like it that much. But anyway, so I've been trying to move off of Google. I've been trying. I didn't realize how intertwined I was with Google, like, because they make it so easy, like, and seamless. That's what it is too. Apple has a lot of let me try that again. Apple has a lot of interconnectivity between its apps and its devices, but it's not nearly as seamless as Google has made theirs. So while I have an iPhone, like most of my like information type stuff, it's all in with Google Drive, Google Workplace, that sort of thing. So I was that jerk who had the iPhone with all the Google stuff on it. So, yeah, I just start, and when you've been like, I have so much information on, I mean, I'm not expecting like, haha, now they can't see. Like, no, they are well aware of who I am, what I do, how I feel politically. They know everything by now. But I'm trying to stop it going forward. And that's really all we can do, right? Yeah, Elon, when Elon first started coming out with his tweets about the Epstein files, I was like, oh, come on. Mega won't care. I'm actually shocked that this blew up a lot more than I thought it would. It's I mean, this doesn't make him good. Like, I mean, and I think a lot of people need to remember that. I don't know. I don't think he'll have any success with the third party that he's been talking out of his ass about it. I mean, not like immediate success. Like a third party is going to take time and grassroots planning. Because let's say you get an independent elected to the presidency. How do you implement your agenda if you're an independent? You got to caucus with somebody. You still have to caucus with somebody. So, you know, I don't think, I think that it's possible, but it's going to take time. It's going to take a lot of money, Like, I don't think people realize how expensive it is to run for president. Like, I mean, not forget even the social media of it. Like, if you want to be on the ballot for your party in every state, like, you have to spend tens of thousands of dollars just to get on the ballot. And then we have 50 states. Like, you're spending millions just getting your name on a ballot, which is wild to me. But I mean, it seems like he's wealthy enough to do it. So who knows, Who knows? Yeah, Elon needs to just sit down and I think whoever is president, I think they need to nationalize Starlink because he's wielding it like a weapon. And I think it is really fucked up that one person has that level of power over our satellites. That is bananas to me. Just bananas. Absolute bananas. That one person can have that kind of power. But I guess that's what we do here, and this is how like Sky Company or Skylink or whatever, the Terminator, not the Terminator. No, it was the Terminator. I mean, that's how that shit happens. And I'm not trying to be conspiracy theorist, but it just doesn't seem smart that we allow companies to have this much authority and power, all for the sake of free markets that really aren't all that free. Yeah, that's a good point, Eileen. Eileen says it's pretty obvious that Orange Tree Trunks is going after Murdoch and not. Yeah. But the Wall Street Journal, first of all, well played. Well played. Wall Street Journal is actually, a lot of people don't realize that the Wall Street Journal is part of Rupert Murdoch's media conglomerate. And I think it's probably one of his only reputable media sources. They actually have real reporters and like real stuff. I don't think that would have published without some serious like confirmation of the sourcing. And it's only defamation if it's a lie. So good luck on that lawsuit. Rupert Murdoch has been getting sued for the better part of 20 years. He wins some, he loses some, but I don't see how they win. Speaking of media people, Stephen Colbert, what the fuck, CBS? I don't totally think, I don't really know a whole lot about that merger. That's another thing that kind of, I know the surface level stuff of the Paramount CBS merger stuff. But like, apparently it was negotiated within the merger to allow it to happen, that Stephen Colbert gets fired, and which it also kind of seems like his contract's just running out because his show doesn't end until next year. So I don't really know everything that's going on with that, but I mean, these these legacy networks, yeah, they're going down the hole anyway. So, I mean, I only have a Paramount subscription because Walmart Plus gives it to you when you have like a Walmart Plus subscription. But yeah, I've been Amazon free for 6 months now. So, Paramount, I don't intend to subscribe to directly, but I'm gonna try to avoid that stuff as much as I can. Because that's really all the power that we do have, is choosing where our dollars go. And, I know it's kind of difficult to often find the best ways for our money to go because, so many, like, for example, if you wanted to look at subscriptions for newspapers or newspaper-like information sources, a lot of them are owned by the damn company. And a lot of them are owned, even the local papers and media outlets are owned by big corporations. It's hard to sometimes put your money where your values are, but it's blinking. I mean, that's really one power that we do have, because a lot of these Fox are screwing us. And what they don't realize is if we can't afford to buy shit, they can't afford to be a billionaire anymore. A lot of their wealth comes from our ability to buy. So, I believe we have to be more responsible where we put our money. Target is reeling. I didn't realize how bad the Target was suffering from the Target boycott. I had no idea. Amazon Prime Day had their worst Prime Day since COVID, and that's because, thanks Trump, tariffs. What the tariffs did is, apparently merchants who do the Amazon fulfillment program, where you can be like a merchant and you send your stuff to an Amazon warehouse. It gets listed on Amazon. Amazon fulfills it for you, and they take like 40% of your profit or whatever it brings in. So what merchants would do on Prime Day was pretty much list their things at cost for the consumer to get them to bring them in, essentially. Well, because of the tariffs, that cost price has now gone up. So even if a merchant was to sell it, whatever it is, at cost, the cost price went up from last year. Depending on where it's coming from, it could have been anywhere from 10 to 25, 30% more than the year prior. So people don't feel like they're getting that Prime Day discount. But you also have the merchants who fear what the tariffs will do to their business, so they're not willing to sell their products at cost. Oh, get out, Cynthia. Really? That is great news. Prime Day was down 47%. That's intentional. But what is also indicative of Prime Day not doing as well as it used to, people are worried about spending. People don't want to buy because, even if you're living under a rock, you know shit ain't going well with the economy. So, um, yeah, Trump. Good luck taking on Walmart. Good on Walmart for not being total douches on, you know. But Walmart can afford to be flip off Trump because they're. I think 85% of Americans make at least one purchase once a week from Walmart. Walmart, all like everywhere. So Walmart's gonna be like, bring it, dude. I mean, they're almost kind of like too big to fail in a lot of ways. Um, I smile when I see those kinds of things, but it's kind of like when they try to like take out Disney. I'm like, Disney shits lawyers. Like, you ain't gonna take them down. Oh yes, I wrote about the price of coffee increasing because Trump put a tariff on Vietnam. Um, Vietnam, apparently, we get most of our coffee comes from Vietnam. Coffee, I know a lot about coffee, okay, because we tried to grow one in our house, and there's a reason why coffee only grows in certain places. It is extremely, and I mean extremely temperamental. It needs just the right light with just the right moisture, and if that temperature drops just once below frost level, it kills the plant. And it takes years for it to produce berries. They look like cherries when you have coffee beans. Um, they look like a cluster of unripened cherries a little bit. And so we get a lot of them from Vietnam, and coffee is going to go up fairly substantially. And it's not even like it's so dumb too because we can't produce coffee in the U.S. Hawaii produces coffee. Like Hawaii is probably the only location that will be able to produce. And I don't even know if they can do it on a mass scale. They have a lot of laws about their land. Like they're very particular. So to expand to Vietnam level production, I don't know. I don't know how that works. But I do know that what they make now is only 1% of what we consume because Kona coffee is delicious. When I lived there and I would come home, I had access to the military commissaries. So what I would do was I would buy a ton of Kona coffee because it's really a lot cheaper in Hawaii to begin with. And then when you buy them in the military commissary, it's even cheaper. I would make these beautiful Hawaiian gift baskets with like Kona coffee and macadamia and chocolate and all this stuff. It would cost me like maybe $10 a basket. And they would like if you had bought any of this stuff like on the mainland, like it would have been like easy a $50 basket. So people were like, "Oh my God, these are awesome." So that was one thing cool about living there is my access to cheap Kona coffee. But right now they cannot produce on the scale that we consume. So, and it would still be expensive because, they don't have the capacity to ship at that level either. So, and you're not like Hawaii's shipping, like Hawaii has a lot of environmental laws. It's really quite difficult to bring a ship to port there. Obviously, they have cruises and all that kind of stuff. That's not here or there, but it's not easy. Even though Hawaii is closer, it's not. There's a lot that prevents you from having mass industrial industries going back and forth like that would replace the coffee from Vietnam. So if that's what they were thinking, that I don't know about Jamaican coffee. I forgot about that they do. They probably don't have it to scale though. Because really it's all about scale, like scaling. If you're going to replace it with another country, who can do it? And coffee is one of those things. It's like chocolate too. Very few countries can grow chocolate. Um, and even the countries that do, they're killing off half their rainforest getting the cacao. So it's really a very dark industry, the chocolate industry. There was a documentary I watched about it. Like a lot of these industries are, I guess, anything that makes billions or trillions of dollars a year is probably a dark industry when it all boils down to it. I don't think I'm cut out for this kind of world to be a billionaire. My heart's too soft. Like I care too much about people and suffering, and But wow, that hour went fast. Yeah. Oh yeah. Sheila, I didn't catch the Walton they are like, yeah, they are so like ridiculous. But you know what? So I've been saying this for a while now because we the people for decades have allowed big corporations to become run mom and pop out of business. So until we can fix it, we're stuck with what we have. And so right now, of all the dickhead big corporations, Walmart is the least dickheaded of all of them. That could change at any moment, of course. Right now, they're the least dickish of what's available, at least to me. I refuse to buy anything from Amazon. I will pirate Amazon Prime's video stuff. I am not watching it. And I have no self-control. Let me tell you something how hard I am not going to Amazon. I went on a audiobook bender, and my library had the first 3 books, and then I get done with the of this series I'm reading, and I wanted the 4th, and I had to put it on hold at the library. My one audiobook subscription service, Libro, it does not. I'm out of credit, so that was a strike. And then I tried another. I looked at iBooks, and they didn't have the right version I wanted because they have this thing called graphic audio, and it's just more descriptive, and I liked it. So I really wanted that version of it. And anyway, but I also didn't want to have to pay the graphic audio price. So then I see it's available on Amazon, and they're saying, oh, resubscribe and we'll give it to you for free. I'm like, nope. I have no self-control. None. And I said no to that. So that's how much I'm not buying from Amazon. Creators, not creatures. Yeah, I'm not. And they're really awful to authors, particularly small authors, that are just starting. And it's like they have really no choice in putting their shit on Kindle or Kindle Unlimited. And it really exploits them. So Jeff Bezos can go fuck himself. I'm not buying books. I'm not buying anything from them. Like, it will have to be something really, and I mean really important, that like I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. And yeah, my stupid little purchases won't bankrupt him, but clearly I'm not the only one not buying, because their Prime Day, which is like usually like one of their biggest sales days, is down. I forgot, like 47%. So clearly I'm not the only one not buying. Well, I guess that is it for today. The hour went by really, really fast. So I have to go finish painting my bathroom because my daughter's coming home tomorrow from New York. So I hope you all have a great day. Like, share, subscribe. Go ahead to our link tree, get yourself a First Amendment bookmark from our e-store, and subscribe to our Substack. And I will see y'all at the next one. Bye, friends.